What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Trust Your Board podcast. My name's Stephen Wright. I'm joined by Mr. William Monroe. Got another mini mock episode here for you today. Will, what are we doing?
Steve, today we have a unique one in honor of the Triple S Charity League that we are starting up here this weekend with our own respective drafts. We're going to do a Superflex mini mock, 12 teams, PPR. I actually came up with the number 1, and you have the 4th pick.
Awesome. Ready to get started?
Yeah, let's do it. I got a tough decision here on my hands.
That you do. Not so much on my end.
Yeah. So it comes down, to at the running back spot, Barkley or McCaffrey, at the quarterback spot, Mahomes or Jackson. So ultimately, I have to decide what position I want to take out of them all. I think even in Superflex, at the very top here, I'm still looking at running back with McCaffrey or Saquon. If this is Dynasty for Superflex, it's a little more important to get the top quarterbacks in Mahomes and Jackson. I would probably be looking them after that, top 3 running back spot there. But when you have a chance to get just that league winner of McCaffrey or Barkley, you have to lock that in. So I'm going to go McCaffrey here, and we'll see what gets to you, buddy. So after McCaffrey, I got Lamar goes 2, and Saquon goes 3.
Awesome. So if this is a real draft of mine, I would probably go ahead and do the same thing and grab Zeke here. You could do a late round philosophy or a mid round plus a late round in a Superflex redraft league. Like you said, big difference between redraft and Dynasty when it comes to Superflex. But for the sake, since we're so close together, I will go ahead and do something a little bit different here and just grab Patrick Mahomes. Get my first quarterback out of the way. Lock him in there. We got Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Michael Thomas, Zeke, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, Derrick Henry, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire to round out the first. Starting in the second, we got Eckler, Godwin, Devontae Adams, Nick Chubb, DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, Josh Jacobs, and Deshaun Watson. So quite quarterback heavy in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Which means some players fell to me. At the running back position, we got Joe Mixon, Kenyon Drake, Miles Sanders, Aaron Jones, and Todd Gurley. At the wide receiver position, Julio Jones, Tyreek Hill, Allen Robinson, Kenny Golladay, Juju Smith-Schuster. So some guys have really fallen here because of the extra quarterbacks being taken, which is awesome. If you would have told me at the 209 that I can get Joe Mixon or Kenyon Drake, I would be one happy man. So it's between the two. I believe on yesterday's episode, I had the same stupid decision. I am going to go ahead. I'll do the opposite on this one and grab Kenyon Drake. Again, I grabbed Mixon last time because he paired well with CEH. You get the known of Mixon combined with the unknown of Kenyon Drake. I'm good taking a risk on Drake now. I do think he's got higher upside, probably a lower floor as well. So a bit of a gamble, but that's a gamble I'm going to take. His offense is also better. And he's got a quarterback that's going into second year instead of his rookie season. So I'm going to lock in Drake here as my first running back. Pretty comfortable with that. We got Julio, Josh Allen, and you're on the clock.
All right. So this is interesting. Being the one not going quarterback. Now seeing, if I would have went with Lamar and Mahomes, there's a good chance I'd be looking, staring down Mixon, Tyreek Hill, Miles Sanders, top tight ends available. So it's interesting. That's why we mock. Kind of see how it looks. I probably, in retrospect, would have went with Mahomes or Jackson. And then, being able to pair Mixon and a Tyreek Hill or grab a tight end, Miles Sanders. Being that this is as it is, I think I'm going to go with a wide receiver and a running back here. There's some good quarterbacks still here. You got Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, Drew Brees. I don't imagine some of those guys will get back to me, but they're still good enough quarterbacks that I can get, one on my next turn and really load up at the other positions here. So we're going to go with Tyreek Hill. He's kind of that last of the top tier receivers for me. Pairing a Tyreek Hill with McCaffrey, ton of boom to pair with safety of McCaffrey. And then just getting another stud running back, Joe Mixon, makes it pretty easy for me here. Miles Sanders does give me a little bit of pause because, a little bit of home bias there with Sanders, but I do think he takes a step forward as well this year. Just the slight, tiebreaker worry is that, we've seen that Doug Peterson does like to use running back by committee. Granted, he's never had a guy the caliber of Sanders. I still do think that, they're not going to give him 20 to 25, touches a game all the time, right? He'll be somewhere in the 10 to 15 carry range, 5-ish targets, right? So I think, 15 to 20, total carries and targets. But yeah, I think Mixon, they lean on him a lot, and I just think he's the pick here for me. So we'll go with Joe Mixon, and after Mixon is locked in, Allen Robinson and Miles Sanders.
So running backs on the board, we got Aaron Jones, Todd Gurley, Leonard Fournette, Chris Carson, Melvin Gordon. Wide receivers, we got Kenny Golladay, Juju Smith-Schuster, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Adam Thielen. So a lot of good wide receiver options there, which does make me feel more comfortable just waiting. So I think I'm going to go ahead and lock in a running back here. And obviously, a lot of these wide receivers aren't going to be available when I get back around, but maybe I'm looking at Odell, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Calvin Ridley, that kind of a tier, and maybe even a little bit better if quarterbacks continue to go. We also haven't seen any tight ends go off the board yet, so you got to figure Kelsey and Kittle are probably going to go between here and there, so you count those two in. Maybe 2 more quarterbacks, maybe even 3. That's 4 or 5 more picks that are not going to be running backs and wide receivers. So I'll be pretty happy with the wide receivers that fall to me here. So at the running back position, again, top on the board is Aaron Jones, Todd Gurley, Leonard Fournette, Chris Carson. It's an interesting tier. I think Aaron Jones is at the top of it for me. Gurley, Fournette, and Carson are all pretty close. But I do have Aaron Jones just a cut above the rest. I do trust him a little bit more. He's going to regress in touchdowns. His touchdown rate was nearly impossible to maintain last year. So he is going to drop. I don't think he's going to drop all the way down to like Leonard Fournette touchdown ranges. But even if you cut it in half, he's still sitting at 8 or 9 touchdowns, and that's pretty solid. So I'm going to go ahead, lock in Mr. Aaron Jones. We'll see what kind of wide receivers get back to us, or maybe another running back if things fall a certain way. So there's our 2 tight ends. We had Travis Kelce go off the board, Mike Evans, George Kittle, Kenny Golladay, Juju, DJ Moore, Matt Ryan, and Tom Brady to round out the third. Drew Brees, Leonard Fournette, Robert Woods, Amari Cooper, Aaron Rodgers, Carson Wentz, Adam Thielen, and Todd Gurley go off the board in the fourth. So 2 tight ends and 5 quarterbacks. So this league's taking quarterback to a quite heavy approach, which is definitely going to benefit you, because you could play that late round quarterback game. Not that we'll get that far, but that's definitely the game to play. At wide receiver, looks like I nailed it. Odell Beckham, Cooper Kupp, Calvin Ridley, A.J. Brown. That's the kind of tier I expected to get back to me, and that's the tier that's here. So I am not comfortable, but I'm okay taking Odell Beckham as my first. It's not that long of a turn, so I can definitely turn around and combine him with a PPR guy like a Calvin Ridley or a Tyler Lockett, someone like that. Or I could just go pure upside, draft a DJ Chark or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in OBJ here. We'll see what's back to me for my last pick. We do have off the board Zach Ertz and Chris Carson. You're on the clock.
All right, so last 2 picks here. Mark Andrews is still there. Definitely an option, but I think not as viable with the Superflex and still receivers on the board. Taking a glance at running back, we've got Melvin, James Conner, Lev Bell, David Johnson. Still good players, but having McCaffrey mix in them, no rush to load up there more. So I'm going to look at the wide receiver position. We have Cooper Kupp, Calvin Ridley, A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen, Lockett, Chark. Multiple good options. Wouldn't mind taking 2 there. But with the quarterback position, there still is a couple of viable guys that I would be happy to see here, even with the run that went. Matt Stafford is one that I think would be nice to pair with this team. So I may go quarterback, 1 wide receiver, and then be able to just get my second quarterback a little later. Got Daniel Jones, Ben Roethlisberger, Cam Newton, Baker. So still quite a few available there. What we're going to do here is we're going to go Matt Stafford to get my first quarterback, which I love Stafford. I know you're a big fan of his as well. To wait to the 4th round to get a quarterback and be able to have Mixon, McCaffrey, and Tyreek Hill, and then pair that with Stafford. I love that so far. So Stafford is the first guy, and then we'll look to get another wide receiver to strike some balance here. And, the A.J. Brown, ton of upside there, but I think I want to get a little more consistency. So looking at Cooper Kupp, maybe Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen available there, but I don't think I can pass the guy in Cooper Kupp up. He has kind of a similar, not the way he plays the game, but the way his fantasy points end up. Tyreek Hill, they have high floors, but they do have boom weeks. I do think that, both of them, even on bad weeks, are going to have good numbers, but on good weeks are going to have huge numbers. And pairing that with McCaffrey and Mixon and the consistency of Stafford, I think it's just a great start to the draft. So we'll go Cooper Kupp here. After Cooper Kupp, we got James Conner and Courtland Sutton.
This puts me in a really tough spot because Calvin Ridley's screaming out to me right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think he pairs well with Odell Beckham, and a lot of people have him pegged as having a big breakout year. The problem is, I would love to draft another running back. We've got Melvin Gordon, Lev Bell, David Johnson, Jonathan Taylor, Mark Ingram. And we got some good running backs. And then maybe, not that we're to go past this pick, but once you get back to the 6th round, who's going to be there? Like a Tyler Boyd, also pretty safe, is going to be there. Devontae Parker might be there. Jarvis Landry, AJ Green. Like, there's still some solid options. It's definitely a tier break, but there's still some solid options there. So it's an interesting spot. I will go ahead. I'm going to draft Ridley. It's a shame we won't see how it plays out, but that's how it goes sometimes. So I'm going to draft Ridley. That's going to give me flexibility moving forward here. So to round out the rest of the 5th round, we did have A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen, Melvin Gordon, Mark Andrews, David Johnson, Mark Ingram, DK Metcalf, and DJ Chark go off the board. That's going to wrap up the mock. Will, you want to go over your team real quick?
Yeah. So first round, Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek in the second with Mixon at that turn there. And then the second turn is Stafford in the 4th round, Kupp in the 5th round. Overall, I think it's a great start to a Superflex team. Getting some value at some of the other premier positions in running back and wide receiver. Because of all the quarterbacks that are getting drafted earlier there. Still getting a guy that I think is a QB1 in Matt Stafford. Then be able to play the later round QB game. I think it's a really good mix there. How about you?
Yeah, it's not bad. So first round, Pat Mahomes, Kenyon Drake, Aaron Jones, Odell Beckham, and Calvin Ridley. So my Calvin Ridley gamble did pay off because we do have Lev Bell, David Montgomery, Kareem Hunt. I'm fine with all of them as my 3rd. The big question mark for me is the Pat Mahomes pick. Like, I'm fine with him here and how things fell. Drake got to me. That's awesome. Aaron Jones got to me in the 3rd. That's really cool. Could add Joe Mixon as well. But if you're in a league where people didn't go early quarterback and I went Pat Mahomes and then maybe Dak and Kyler went and the other positions were more running back heavy, then maybe my first running back, I'm looking at Aaron Jones. Or we break down into that Carson, Gurley, Fournette kind of a tier, then things get more worrisome and I start disliking the team a little bit more. So it works out for this draft, but you got to know your league a little bit. If people are going to go quarterback heavy, this is fine. If people aren't going to go heavy, then I'm going to have less options at come running back time. So it's fine here. I wouldn't do it normally, but it worked out today. That's going to wrap up the mock. Everyone, join us tomorrow for another mini mock episode. Until then, trust your board.